What's up, guys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. This is really two episodes in one. I'm going to do two very short episodes. One of them is an I Told You So episode about Jeff Bezos, and then the second one is a more serious episode about news going on in Israel. So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is 2 weeks ago I made a video, a little more than 2 weeks ago, I made a video talking about baby back bitch Bezos going to Congress after he lost his NASA contract to Elon Musk's SpaceX. And then he just went in and basically got some of the politicians that are in his pocket to give him a contract as well. So now it's official, guys. I knew it was coming quickly, and in that episode I'm like, dude, Bezos is going to get paid, and he's going to get paid quickly. It took like 2.5 weeks. He got his $10 billion for Blue Origins like yesterday or the day before. Thanks to Ryan Grimm for breaking the story. I used his original story in my original video. It's just now gaining traction, but we need to pay attention to this, guys, because it's one of those stories that's so cartoonishly evil and so obviously corrupt that I think it can really catch fire, and we can, like the IRS leak earlier last week from ProPublica that basically exposed that Jeff Bezos also pays zero in taxes, and all these billionaires don't pay any income tax. That combined with the fact that he just got cut a check from the government through NASA with taxpayer dollars in the same week that that IRS leak came out. Dude, let's run with that, because that paints billionaires in a horrible light. It's like cartoonishly bad, and that's why I'm talking about it again. Also, I wanted to say I told you so, because I did fucking say it first. I had this out like 2.5 weeks ago about this this thing. So like, Bezos is being cartoonishly villainous right here. Pays zero in taxes and just got given $10 billion to go into space. And not to mention, he just bought MGM Studios for like $9 billion right after he basically was guaranteed that he was going to get the $10 billion from NASA. So it's like, oh my God, could it get any more cartoonish? It can't. It literally can't. It's more absurd than satire, and I'm a satirist. So the second thing I'd like to talk about, guys, on a more morose note and a more serious note, is the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has been ousted. And I know what you're thinking, guys. Why is that a bad thing? Because the guy that's replacing Netanyahu is actually to the right of Netanyahu. His name's Naftali Bennett, and it wasn't clear at first when the election was over if it had actually happened, right? So I've been waiting a couple of days to see what the actual outcome is, but now it seems to be official. Naftali Bennett will be the new Prime Minister of Israel, and I'm going to read to you real quickly here from Al Jazeera, just kind of explaining to you who he is. He's a tech entrepreneur. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's basically like the Donald Trump of Israel, and he is in fact worse than Netanyahu. In this case, you'd think Netanyahu's like Biden. Naftali Bennett's really more like Trump, basically. Think of it that way and make it easier to understand. So like, yeah, they're both awful, but you got D- is going to an F in Israel. So here, I'll read you here. The 49-year-old, who has made pitches to far-right voters throughout his career, leads the Yamina party, which has called for Israel to annex parts of the occupied West Bank. A firebrand politician who has not shied away from controversy, Bennett is ultra-liberal on the economy and takes an aggressive line against Iran. He shares this ideology with Netanyahu and has served in several of the Likud leaders' governments. In recent years, however, the two have become increasingly opposed. Now, Bennett used to work for Netanyahu earlier on, like in 2005, and it says that in here. I'll let you read, but I want to read to you this last part here. A former Special Forces commando, Bennett is a son of U.S.-born parents and lives with his wife Galit and 4 children in the city of Ra'anana. He entered politics after selling his tech startup for $145 million in 2005, and the next year became chief of staff for Netanyahu, who was then in opposition. So in 2006, he became chief of staff. After leaving Netanyahu's office, Bennett in 2010 became the head of the Yesha Council, which lobbies for Jewish settlers in the occupied West Bank. Not a good sign. Then he took politics by storm in 2012 when he took charge of the far-right Jewish Home Party, which was facing annihilation. He turned that party around, ran, and here we are now. So this is not good. It's already bad. It was already bad with Netanyahu. This is far worse. So here's what I'd like us to try to do now, guys. Since this is happening anyways, let's use Naftali Bennett being the new Prime Minister of Israel to further press Biden to stop giving money to Israel. The government is even more far-right, more inhumane against Palestinians under Bennett, likely, than Netanyahu. We should use that information and tell Joe Biden, you cannot keep giving money to Israel. Naftali Bennett is the Prime Minister there. He's an animal. You can't do this. And you can use the fact that he won this to maybe actually get Biden to come out on the right side of this. Now, I don't think that's the case, because he gets, like I said on a previous episode, Biden has taken more Israeli money via donations than anyone in the history of politics. $3.8 million from Israeli donors. Hillary Clinton's in second place at $2.3 million. You can check that on, I think it's Open Secrets. So of course he's not going to change his mind, but that's a way for us to point out how Biden props up dictators that don't give a damn about human rights. It paints Biden in a very bad light, so let's run with it framed thusly. You cannot continue to give money to Israel, especially now that Naftali Bennett is the Prime Minister. No, 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 no. Joe Biden, he'll ignore us, but then we can create a big stink about how he props up horrible people like Bennett. So that's how I think it should be framed on that, guy. So this is really, it is bad news, but I think it can be framed in a way that can be useful to smear Joe Biden a little bit. Not smear him, but you know what I'm saying, like paint him in the light that he is earned, being somebody that would prop up Israel with all the, war crimes that they're doing and the genocide and the ethnic cleansing. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. Hopefully when Jeff Bezos goes into space, some of these, like SpaceX has their stuff explode all the time. All the time, dude. Like half the time SpaceX does something, it explodes. And they have way more money than Blue Origins does. I'm just kind of hoping that, I'm just saying shit happens. Shit happens when you're in fucking space. If Jeff Bezos goes out there, maybe we'll get lucky. I don't know. Anyway, they're only doing a low Earth orbit, so I don't think they're actually going to space. They're going up and like just using their boosters to outrun gravity, so they're doing an orbit of the Earth or something like that. So less chance that something goes seriously wrong, but you never know, guys. Anyway, keep fighting the good fight. I'll talk to you later.